Hi, this is Deacon John Wilson here, Education Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church, where our pastor is Pastor Charles Blake. And I thank him and love him for letting us do this, come to you. We had a great meeting last night with class of 2025 parents. Talked about some really important topics around the FAFSA and around the current status of applications. This should be a video that's not too long. Really tap into this information. There's some really good stuff here that will help you a lot in the college admission situation with your youth. I always say November is really a critical time. This first week will make and break whether students with long application lists are able to finish everything. I always use Veterans Day as my guideline. That is today. Shout out to all the vets who are hearing this. God bless you. Thank you for your service. All right, let's get into the session we had on yesterday. All righty, here we go. Let's get into this. It was yesterday. Let's get into the session here. Okay, there are 5 misunderstandings and mistakes that are actually happening right now in the college application process. And I want to go over, there's actually going to be 6, but you'll kind of get the idea here. First of all, remember we're at November 1st, well, November 11th, almost second week. Too many colleges on your list. I'm finding that this year, coming out of the pandemic, second year in a row, given the level of activity students have. I did a video on this already. Maybe I'll put that link in the chat below, down in the description block. I'll put it in the description block. The students are really too busy, parents. They really are. Good time to look at that list. Is it too long? Are they managing the list and the activities and everything else? Are things in balance? Those are some of your symptoms and signs. Let's look a little deeper into this. Is it hard for your youth to get started on their essays? Because that is the first step, the essay, not the application. You might say, well, Mom, I've completed the application. I'm just working on the essay. I mean, that's like saying I'm driving up to Long Beach. Well, I already got on the 105 freeway. All I got to do is drive up from North Long Beach. Got a little more to do. So they'll say that, but the application itself is only 10% or so, maybe even 5% of the actual work. It's the essays. Essay writing and speaking of those, just not done. Particularly concerned if they're going to apply to UC. They haven't even started their PIQs. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Next, recommendation letters and personal statement. That means you have a misunderstanding of the Common App process. There are no more recommendation letters. I did a video on that a few days ago. I'll put that link in the description block below. Personal statements. We don't have personal statements, parents, like you remember them. Some of you will say, sit down and write a personal statement. But maybe there'll be a scholarship they can use it for. But right now, the issue is the applications. And when you're doing Common App, there's 6 specific questions from which you choose one. If you're doing UC, there's 8 questions, you choose 4. There's specific questions. You could argue that the Common App Essay 1 is kind of a place you can tell your story. Again, look below in the description block at the video I did on those essays. But it's not really a traditional personal statement. Okay, they say, tell us something about you. There may be some small school down south somewhere that does do that. Let me know, parents, if you find a school like that. But they're going to be on Common App, the ones you're going to be applying to. Over-reliance on your high school for help. A lot of you will tell me, hey, his high school is helping him, or her high school is helping her. Help is interesting. Some schools have 900 seniors, some have 80 or 100. In either case, what does help mean? Does it mean every day they're going to follow up on the students, set deadlines, and structure it like we do? That's where you use your community-based organization, parents, and just manage us. But there's an over-reliance on the high school. A lot of you feel because you're paying tuition that they should be expected to help. But now, if you have a small private high school, sure, maybe the counselor can check in. But do they? Are they just letting the kid work without structure and deadlines? These young people need structure and deadlines. I'm telling you, that's what they need. So there's an over reliance on high schools. They'll take care of it. I don't need any other help. Think about that. I think that's a mistake. We're here to help. We're a nonprofit organization, part of a church. We're paid up. We have a staff standing by to help. We have a lot of experience, as I do. Now, I won't mention that again, but I think that that's very important. There are too many helpers sometimes. Sometimes everybody in the family, because it's the first student in college, maybe, or they have a college they want the student to apply to. Everybody wants to help, wants to read the essay, and it's driving students crazy. They're telling me, yeah, you're giving them too many helpers. Well, the first thing I do when I come along is say, am I the only one reading the essays? Because if I'm not, and other people are reading it, I'm not going to read it because I'm really thinking about the student at that time. Okay? Unstable college list. So there's really actually one, two, three, these are five here. I think there's another one. Unstable college list. It's time to freeze your college list. Come on now. Keep adding schools to the list, and you're adding schools, we'll talk about this later, that are the same kind of school a lot of times. They're not new schools that are giving you a much different aspect to your list. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They're not setting up and checking CSU portals. That's so important. You applied to Cal State, right? Now, are you checking? Is the student checking their email? Students don't check email. Got to follow up on them. That's what we do. We're going to start next week aggressively. I don't like that word. Assertively following up on students, making sure they set up those portals. What's a portal? It's an online information site, I should say, that's unique to the student. Where the student logs in and gets communications from the college. These colleges don't do acceptance letters at home, parents. We got to get out of the way we thinking. There's some that do both. You get a letter from some. They always tell you online first. They also ask for extra admissions information in those portals. Tell you about special activities on the campus. They need to set up their portals. Listen, here's what happens. If they don't, there'll be a whole lot of schools, we'll talk about this later too, that are very expensive they get into. And you want them to pivot and compare it to the CSU offer, and you find out that their application's been dropped because they weren't following the correspondence. Set up and check the portals. That's something that's being missed. So you see there's 6 things here really, but you get the idea. Let's talk about the UC application pathway real quick. The due date I put is 11/29. The actual due date, as you'll find out later, the actual due date is November 30th. Okay? That's the actual due date. But I put the 29th because sometimes you can go to the 30th, the server is jammed. So I like to see them finish with their essays really before Thanksgiving. But they're starting now, they probably won't be. Especially if they just have the school help them or no one helping them, or many helpers. It's going to be hard to get it done. There are 4 personal insight questions or drafts. Get an experienced reader to review it. I am. Share the doc with me. Why don't you write me an email and share it with? I read about dozens of them already this year and made comments. Having trouble starting the essays? Does your student need deadlines and structure? Get us involved as soon as possible. Tomorrow is a perfect day. I was talking about today. It's a holiday or any day real soon. Don't let it go too deep into November. All right? We can do all the review digitally, share doc, comments back. It's very effective. Google your UC application and start entering the information. You Google it and then you click the link and you set up the account and you start entering the information. You will need your 3-year unofficial transcript to answer the questions. If you need help, give us a call. Here we go again. Or now we're in the Family Life Center most Tuesdays and Thursdays. I am, but I have people there who can help you, who are my tutors who know the application, who can actually give you a hand. Pay the fee to UC. It's $80 for each UC. There's one application, but you pay $80 for each UC. That's right, $320 for 4, $240 for 3. So you want to make sure you're applying to the right UCs. Again, we're here to help you. That should be a data-driven decision, as you'll see later, based on your college list. CSU pathway. Students should apply, listen closely. Students should apply to CSU if you are not 100% sure you will pay any price for college. And occasionally I get that. Parents will tell me they'll pay any price. I wouldn't. Parents, listen closely. You've worked really hard. You are entitled to a peaceful retirement without a lot of debt, sometimes $300,000, $250,000, and $400,000 just from your child's education. That's right. The loan is going to be on you. I've covered that in earlier sessions. Maybe I'll go over that again or do a video on it, but that debt's going to be your debt, parents, not your student, because the laws were changed and there's not any third-party providers anymore for student loans. You have these large, Sallie Mae and these banks that do loans for students. Those are super high interest loans, and you're going to have to co-sign for your student. But I don't want to get into that right now. There is no essay on the CSU application, no teacher recommendations. On the applications, there is a grade self-report, however, and it's a bit tricky in some cases. I won't go over the cases where it's tricky, but it is true in some cases. Okay? Okay. We can do it for your youth, right? We can do that for you, for your youth. Useful if they are behind on their essay. That should be if. If they're behind on their essays and having trouble starting, have us do their CSU application for them. If they're real busy in school, these kids are really busy. You got to give them an edge. You got to help them. Email Quinn Davis for a form. It's an application data form, so we can help you. We're also going to need a copy of the unofficial transcript. Well, she'll tell you that. We will make sure it's entered correctly, I should say, and follow up with your youth to show them how to set up their portals. The recommended donation we're going to ask for is $45, which we use for our foster kids for travel or kids who can't afford to travel but are admissible to the colleges. I'll talk about travel a little bit later. Boise State, all right, see here, I'll talk about Boise State. Boise State University, which is in Idaho, it's a wonderful school. A lot of our students have gone there, have great careers. A lot of say, Boise, I'm going to go to Boise. Well, but maybe they should visit with me. I'm going up on December 8th and 9th. I think I'm going to have a nice group with me this time. I have a feeling. I already have 3 or 4, but there's some are asking me about it. Here's the first step if you're curious about Boise State. If you're either curious or you're not sure, come to the college mission presentation for Boise State on Zoom. You can get to it on our website, which I'll discuss later, Thursday evening on Zoom, okay? I'll email about it to parents just a little later. In fact, after I do this video, I'll do that. And I'll also, in this video, show you how to use our website to RSVP. We need you to RSVP for these meetings. Register on the website, like I just said, students attending and then visiting Boise State with me on December 8th, 9th, which is also on the website. I'll show you how to go to the info part of the site and get that. 38 EEP students have attended. 32 students who've gone to Boise State have great careers. 3 are currently still at the school. It's been a very successful school for our students. Adventure students who are curious, have got good grades, they do well at Boise State. The 1 or 2 that didn't make it, one unfortunately got pregnant, had to come home. And the other one got a girl pregnant and had to come home. So that's very interesting, isn't it? But typically students do well. I've had one student struggled academically because she had time management issues. That's a pretty good ratio when 32 of the 38 have done it. But nationwide, only 45 to 50% of students actually finish college. Our students do well there. They become leaders, student government, they get into student government, they get into leading major government, major holiday functions, etc. It's an NCAA Division I campus, as you all know. And yes, the football field is blue, and the team is doing very well this year and have a great running back that could win a Heisman. It's a great city. Application takes 13 to 15 minutes. There's no SEO recommendations. We have fee waivers available. Let me know you're applying to Boise. I'll tell you how to get the fee waiver. Again, you can Google Boise State University application, go right to the application. The due date is December 15th for the West Angeles grant. You have to have the FAFSA file too, if it's available, but they usually will let you slide on that to February 15th. Now that I think about it, but you want to get the application in by December 15th to be eligible for the West Angeles grant, which will make Boise State lower than most CSUs, just about all of them. Here's the college admission process. Like I said earlier, it's a data-driven college list. Just a college list won't do. You need a college list that's based on the GPA, sometimes SAT, not always, but GPA, the majors of the student, what the career they're looking into. These are things that drive the data for the list, not just do they have my major. Some people do that. If it has a major, I can apply to it. A lot of counselors in high school do that. But that's not the way to go. You should look first. We believe at things like cost, your grades, the reality of your grades, and what will the school accept. You want to get into schools that you can get that will accept your GPA, and I'd say well accepted, so you can have scholarships. I mean, a 3.5 is a decent GPA, but hardly any very selective colleges will give you any money for that. It's too low for them because they have a high GPA caliber student that's applying. So 3.5 is actually low. They may let you into school, but you're not getting any money. But there are other schools that 3.5 goes a long way to getting money. So these be data-driven. So let's continue. And you can see these are my 5 types of colleges. I've talked about this before. Out-of-state public universities, California state universities, early action private colleges, universities of California, and regular period private colleges. So these categories you'll apply for, you get application acceptances, you'll file a FAFSA, get financial aid awards. You'll look at the awards, can compare them across the schools you applied to and got accepted. And you'll do cost determination trade-offs, which I'll be here to help you with. I'll show you how to read the financial aid award, how to determine what you owe. In fact, we'll do that in our next session in a couple of weeks. Again, looking at this, these are your 6 types of schools. So the first type was public universities, right? Out-of-state public universities. So September 15th for those. California state universities, October 1st to 31st, right? Early action private colleges and Protestant Christian colleges, November 1st to 15th. Some of those are already due November 1st. A lot of you missed those dates. That's okay. You don't have to do early action. Apply in the regular period. Universities of California. Oh, about that apply in the regular period. I have a video on how to apply to USC. You need to apply to USC before December 1st. Now, I know that means UCs are in trouble because they're due November 30th. So you got some work to do. Okay? Again, if we can help you, let us know. What did I say about USC? You have to do it by December 1st. If you go to their January 15th second date, there's not going to be any merit award money available. And USC is $96,000. You're going to need some merit money. You will. And that may not even be enough, but that's what you need to do. So that November 1st to 15th is valid. But remember about USC, because here I say University of California, the 1st to the 30th, and regular period private is the 1st to the 31st. But I caution you on USC, apply before December 1st. All right? These 3 types of colleges are the colleges that have essays, right? Early action private colleges, Protestant Christian colleges, University of California, regular period private colleges. These are the types of colleges that have essays. Okay? Now you got a few out of state public universities that do have essays, but it's very few. Okay. Here's a nice little stair step of that you can quickly get a visual on the cost. Here's a family where the student has a 3.6 GPA, right? Let me get this back on again. Here's a family where the student has a 3.6 GPA, family income of $80,000 plus. For Grand Canyon University, which is GCU, we expect to pay about $14,000. The GPA was a little higher, they pay about $6,000. CSU, $17,500. Boise State, $18,000. UC, University of California, $24,500. Private college, $29,000. These are averages, $29,000. A selective private college, that's not an average. It's a minimum of $35,000. Again, I didn't want to do a lot of cost stuff today, but that's a good summary of what you expect to pay for college. Okay? College enrollment and financial aid review award process. This is the financial aid award process now, okay? 25-26 FAFSA is what you're going to be filing. You need a proper FAFSA submission. And I'm going to talk about that probably next meeting, or I will do a video on it because this new FAFSA has a process that's very confusing. So I want to be very sure that you understand that process and that students follow it, that their FAFSA submissions are good. Then what happens is the college processes the FAFSA information. In the background, the custodial parents' 2023 income tax information will be provided in the background. You don't have to provide it. I said earlier, you don't need it. The FAFSA looks into the background based on the information in your student username and password IDs, and they identify the tax return. And the financial aid award is then filed. They produce a financial aid award. The school does, right? After college process. Some people say, well, what the government give you on FAFSA? That's not correct. It's the school that makes the financial aid award. And in that award, you'll find out whether you have any federal aid. About 800 colleges have another form that you need, right? And that form is the CSS profile, okay? That's a form that's additional above and beyond the FAFSA. It's done by the College Board people, okay? The CS profile is a College Board document, and some schools require it, about 800. They're going to require you to upload the return. I know you're thinking, I thought you said I didn't have to do that. Well, it's going to go to a third-party company. It'll go to a third-party company. And then, of course, the non-custodial parent, first time I've developed that term, if you're the parent who has the child in your house, you'll be filing a FAFSA with you as the parent. However, there's a non-custodial parent, because that would be the other parent who they're not living with, that will require the tax information on that parent. It gets a little strange because sometimes they're filing joint with their new spouse, and now there's a whole lot of income available. This is a part of the process that none of us really like to talk much about, but it's a problem. But fortunately for you, number one, many schools just require the FAFSA. Those of the ones that require, they just require the FAFSA. That means there's only the custodial parent. When they bring in that CS profile, there is a chance over 600 of the 800 colleges, they'll not need the non-custodial parents' information. They need information on both parents. And once they get that CS profile data, they can make the financial aid award because it would have already looked at the FAFSA. Now, this is a very important view graph. I hope I was clear on that. You can play it over and over again if you want. FAFSA facts to consider. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA for 25-26, listen to this, is based on the 2023 custodial parent income. The feds are saying the FAFSA will be available sometime in December. Now, this past year, it wasn't available until January, the first week. They have a lot of corrections to make. They're still working on that form to make it right. There were a lot of process problems with the financial aid FAFSA last year, okay? They're still fixing them. Colleges no longer require the tax return. Remember I said in the background that we'll look at that. If you have not filed your 2023 taxes Listen to this. Your youth's financial aid award will be significantly delayed unless all the income is non-taxable. Some selected private colleges also require the CS profile. I said that. The CS profile, to remind you, process may require information from the non-custodial parent that's either divorced or separated. Okay? Even if the FAFSA only requires information on one parent, there are schools that want additional information on the other parent. Okay? Hope that's clear. What do you need to know about FAFSA? More information. The FAFSA is not wholly user-friendly. It's highly unlikely that you will make a mistake if it's your first time. I'm sorry, it's highly likely that you will. Usually the mistake is not critical, thank God, but sometimes it is. So this is why you'll see in the next slide, we actually help by filing FAFSA for families. Here's what you'll need to file the FAFSA. FAFSA username and password for youth and parent. You need to order a username and password. I'll show you the steps for that later. The 2023 federal tax return, you can go to www.fafsa.gov. If you're filing your youth FAFSA yourself, go to the following document online for procedures. There it is there. You can cut this out and paste it. You'll get a nice detailed procedure for the FAFSA. Mistakes on the FAFSA also happen in the follow-up phase when colleges ask questions that you think you need to make a change. You'll think, oh, wow, I need to make a change to my FAFSA, okay? Then that's where it happens. Please, no youth should file their own FAFSA as a first-year student. That's very important. Don't let them file a FAFSA, parents. You're the one that has to pay. You're responsible for paying. You file a FAFSA. I really don't, or I can file it for you. It's up to you. Do not have a commercial service. These online companies charging up to $1,000 to do a FAFSA. The low point is probably about $200. We ask for a donation, usually of around $50 for the FAFSA, which again, we're using for foster kids to travel and kids that can't afford to travel to college. If you do not, so don't use a commercial service. And I don't think you should let your youth's high school file a FAFSA unless you're ready to give up a lot of your private information. You know, some of them think they need the tax return. That's not true. But they're all going to ask you for a lot of other things to provide to your youth that day if they bring it to school to be done. And you're getting a person that doesn't have experience filing. But we do, and just be careful if you're sending them to school. Other FAFSA considerations. Order your username and password today. If you don't have, if one of you two, either the parent or the student, both parents, by the way, listen, both parents, if you don't have the username and password for FAFSA, order it today. Use the following URL, or just jump on and say, and Google create a username and password for FAFSA. And press enter, you get a link to this link right here will come up. Remember, youth and parent each need a FAFSA username and password. So both people need usernames and passwords. The important thing is to test it. Once you get that username and password, go ahead and test it. Make sure it logs in. Even if it's the parent one, make sure they all can log in. That's how the system tells you it's correct. This is the most common thing that delays the financial aid award and the issues regarding the username, FAFSA username and password. Please take the time to order it today, okay? Let's do it today, students and custodial parents. Important tips when creating passwords. I'll run through this. The student and parent must create a FAFSA username and password. Each should use their names as they appear on their Social Security card. I'll talk to this. Very important, parents, especially if you've been through a divorce. For my parents, make sure your last name, the last name you use for the FAFSA matches your last name in your Social Security card. Sometimes it's your original your original name, right? Not your married name. Other times it is the married name. Sometimes it's hyphenated. This is a common area of confusion that causes the username and password to not work. When making the FAFSA username, please keep them simple. Here's some simple formatting. For the username, first initial, last name. So I'd be J. Wilson. Then you can enter 4 or 5 numbers, 3045, 3022, 7133. You know, those can all be good FAFSA username. Then you can put an exclamation on the end if you want. FAFSA username, that's that. FAFSA password. How about 4 letters, one capitalized, 4 numbers, and one special character? There you go. FAFSA password. Don't accept what your Mac is telling you, this long, complex code. Don't do that because they're going to be hard to type in. If when they're hard, the harder they are to type in, the more trouble I have going on. You will have trouble going on. Keep it simple but complex enough. Okay, that's how you do your FAFSA password. Do we do FAFSAs? Yes, we do FAFSA. There are over 1,000 in the last 5 years. Email Quinn at quindavis.eep@gmail.com for the link to the 2025-2026 FAFSA data form. And we'll pick up the action to submit the FAFSA as soon as it drops in December. You will need a functioning username and FAFSA password. I should say, we're going to start sending the sheets out. If you send them back to me, we'll file the FAFSAs in the order we get those. You will need a functioning FAFSA username and password to complete the West Sanders EEP FAFSA data form. When we send it, you'll need a username and password on there. Donation for the completion is $45. I said 50, it's 45 for filing and all follow-up and college editions. We will help you with all other paperwork and college requests for financial aid if you let us file your youth's 2025-26 FAFSA. The FAFSA deadline for colleges start in February 2025. For a few colleges, it's also in February. CSU and UC deadline is March 2nd this year. Back to the correct date. They've been April and May 2nd the last 2 years, probably coming out of COVID. But this the deadline for all CSU UC students is March 2nd. Now, the California private schools are a little earlier, okay? Here's some top December considerations. You need to think about the guidelines for adding colleges, guidelines for deleting colleges. Every important thing you need to know about scholarships needs to be a part of your thinking right now. How will the FAFSA get done during the holiday season? See, what if you have to get the data sheet to me during the holiday season? What if you have to do it then, because you decided that you would do it? And that's fine. But during the holiday season, it gets pretty challenging to get a FAFSA done. Do I need the CS profile? You should be asking yourself today. Have you checked through your schools or checked with me? I can tell you which one's required. How about some guidelines for adding colleges? November, December, that usually comes up. You would add colleges at the last minute. All right, let's do it. Do not add colleges that will cost more as much as your most expensive college. No need to put more expensive schools on there. How will you know? Generally, if it's a private college, there's a possibility it's more expensive. But check with me for sure. Or you can Google it. Google the total cost, space, the college name. You can compare. Okay? The next bullet. Do not add colleges that require additional financial aid requirements. See, I wouldn't add a school that requires a CS profile, for example. That's extra work. And do not add colleges that require additional financial aid requirements, and a college application. Right? Yeah, don't add a application that has a lot more writing on it. You try to get your schedule balanced. Okay, that's very important. Here's the easiest schools for you to add that have no recommendations letters, no recommendations, no must, no fuss. Straight up. You don't even have an essay on these. The California State Universities plus Boise State. Those are our most popular destinations if people want to avoid the debt. And they are not bad selections. We have a lot of great students that have come out of CSU in our program and in general. Beware of all the same type of college. So you want to add a college that's just like the other 10 you have, another New England private or something. Or if you already applied to 9 HBCUs, why add another one that have to do some more writing? Maybe some supplemental essays. So beware of all the same type of college. Okay, do you have a cost escape college? We'll check on that on the next slide. I mean, a college where you're willing to look at, that's a cost escape. If you already have 12 plus colleges, drop a college when you add a college. That's a good guideline. 12 is a good number. Drop a college when you add a college. right? I tend to treat the UCs as one college and the CSUs as one college. You have 10 private college positions. Hope that helps. Okay. All right, guidelines for adding colleges. Protestant Christian colleges are a great buy. I mean, a school like Liberty College, it's about 32,000 a year. It's the top Christian Protestant Christian institution in the country and the largest. They're bigger than APU now. So many private Protestant Christian colleges are actually a very good buy. Some Western state colleges, not only because their tuitions are lower, but they have this thing called the Western Undergraduate Exchange Grant, where if you come from a Western state, you get a significant financial aid award that then makes it easier for your student to attend those schools. Some Big Ten and large colleges are way more affordable than the other Big Ten schools. Best example is University of Iowa. A student from California can go to University of Iowa for a very small amount. I think it's something like $1,400 a month. And that school is going to be affordable for you because it's way lower than the other Big Ten schools. Okay? Certain private colleges should be on your list. They're very affordable. I think about Seattle Pacific University. I think about George Washington University. These are schools that have a good record with our students, where our students also have had great performance at those schools. Our students are known, and you'll get a nice award. These four types. There's another one. Yes, of course, as I mentioned before, California State Universities. There are 22, actually 23. You'll find something you like because they're all in different settings: suburban, urban, semi-suburban, rural. They're in all different types of environments. And they have majors, a lot of them are carrying hundreds of majors, dozens of majors, certainly. And it's great that's a great thing if you have to change majors. But Cal State University is a good one too. Here are the guidelines for deleting colleges. Colleges that are just like other several colleges on your list, get rid of them. Colleges that have as much or more essay writing. I wouldn't take on more essay writing this late. College at which you have no career path. Okay, so you put a college on your list and you realize they don't have the major you need for the career path you want. I'm not saying the major is the career, it's not. Okay? Too many difficult admissible colleges. Yeah, they're difficult. Why are you applying? They're looking for 3.8, and you're a good student. You're 3.4, 3.2, 3.3, 3.1. I don't want to see you keep adding schools that are hard to get into. Again, see me, I'll help you with your list. Who will complete your FAFSA? It's a very relevant question. Your public high school will want to help. They may request some kind of state law that was passed that they have to ask you or have to help you. They may have to request your 2023 return. If they're amateurs and don't understand the new financial aid process, they may ask for that return. That's personal information that you'll be sending to school with your student. They could ask the social security number. Maybe you don't want them to know that. You give it to me under encryption when I file the FAFSA. It's sent under encryption. A date of birth. So these are all things that will be needed to complete the FAFSA. The tax return, because you can write information from the return into the FAFSA if it's needed, but doesn't really ask for that all the time. And date of birth and these things are very, very important. They want you to bring those things in to the school to help them do the FAFSA. You might want to waive out of that and have us do it if that's bother to you. Okay, that's a very important bullet there. You might want to consider the holiday challenges. Here's an important stress reducer. Right now, parents, your stress is starting to pick up, but let's relax. The due dates for the applications, if you will, for the financial aid are February through March 2nd in the worst case. That'd be worst case for CSU and UC. Some are in January, not true anymore. They're none in January. So try not to let that stress you out. You got to file the FAFSA and you get stressed out. It's not the way it works. The FAFSA, It's just not the way it works. It has certain due dates. Don't think just because the FAFSA becomes available, say on November 15th, December 15th, it becomes available. I don't want you to think it's due that day. It will stress you out of your mind. Okay? Just get a hold of me, get a data sheet. We showed you how to do it earlier. Go back and look at that in the video. We'll be glad to send you a link. You can fill out that form. Okay? We can do it for you. Like I said, get a EEP FAFSA data sheet, and you can do that by emailing Quinn Davis. I mentioned that earlier. Now, here's the CSS profile stuff. Some of you are seeing about this for the first time. Check to see if your private schools require this. All you got to do is Google the school financial aid requirements and look, see if it's in there. It's an online document with the College Board. The CS profile is a College Board document. The document is required by over 700. Let me think. Now it's 800, I think. Mostly private colleges, in addition to the FAFSA. Usually it's due February 1st or 15th, which is later on in the college season. Click here, and again, if you get the document, which I'll have a link to this document below, you can just click on the link by doing Control-click and go to the College Board site. Does my school require it? Well, there's a list here. I'll provide that link below. You click on that link, it'll take you directly to the CS Profile site and show you the list of the participating institutions. The college list also includes whether that list that I just talked about will tell whether they're required to have non-custodial parent information. Most of them do, but there's some that don't. Some just require CS Profile and the FAFSA from the custodial parent, and the non-custodial parent doesn't have to worry about it. But if they're doing a CS profile, you need to see if it's on the list for your school. Again, if you need help finding that out, please let me know. You can write a comment below. You can email me. I think my email address has come up on the screen several times, or the very first page of the presentation, my information is there. NCP is non-custodial parent information. There it is right there again. Get the document, Control-click, and that's what your non-custodial parent will be asked by College Board to fill out. They'll send out an email to that parent automatically. The CSS schools require the actual tax return. You're right, but they're not going to get required from you. There's a third-party reviewer that you'll be sending those tax returns to. Okay? Because tax return, they voted that out a long time ago. They don't get that anymore. What unique expression, look at this, this is interesting. What unique information is requested by the CSS profile? Additional properties you may own, the equity plus the rental income, and basically they want to see Schedule C and E, so they learn all the property you have and what's going on. The implication is they're going to expect you to use that equity to pay for college. Boats, do you have any boats? Do you have other wealth? These are all things they want to know in assessing your ability to pay for college. Okay. Savings accounts of all types, they want to know everything in your savings. Special other accounts like stock accounts, bond accounts, gold and silver, Bitcoin, all of that they want to know. So you see they're asking for more information than is on the FAFSA. Remember, they're going to ask the non-custodial parent also. These expensive schools, they're not giving up money unless they have to. They're going to find out all about you first. Sometimes all those information, they want to know what kind of cars you're driving. Are they paid off? What about luxury items, fur coats and diamonds? They're going to ask about that. I'm just saying, the CS profile gets all in your information, your business. And a lot of you have several CS profile schools. But also they do give you some things that will help you if you look at the form carefully. Again, if you're having trouble completing this form, let me know. Usually that time of year, I can even do it for you real quick. But I only do it when I filed your FAFSA, because I have that FAFSA information if I need it. Sibling information, they're going to ask, how many brothers and sisters the student have? That's going to help with financial aid. Liabilities, bills, debts, etc. Sometimes they want to see a house budget. I tell people that's the first step if you want to ask for more money from a college, whether they ask for it or not. Large medical expenses in 2023. Also, I should have said it, any large medical expenses you're dealing with right now during 2024, they'll need to know that. And there's a space on the form for all these. Okay, current special circumstances are important. What if you just had your roof caved in? They need to know that. That's a one-time large expenditure you're going to make. And any documentable balloon payments. I mean, sometimes you have a balloon payment on your mortgage or on a home repair, on something related to that. That's something you need to tell them. If it's going to be in 2025, 2026, or if it's happening right now in some cases. Okay, there's unique information. You can put all that stuff could be on the CSS profile. Again, if you're having trouble, want to know where, let me know. Scholarships, scholarships, scholarships. We're almost done here. Common misconceptions and clarifications about scholarships. Most scholarships are $300 to $1,500. The most diligent students get 2 to 3 scholarship offers. After all that work, you apply to about 5, 6, 7, 8, and get 2 or 3. That's typical. And they're not that high when you look at it. If you get a 500 or a 300, I know what you're going to say, but at least that's something. Yeah, it is. But compared to the total cost of the school, it's not that much. Third-party scholarships will cover about 0.5% to 4% of the total college cost. It's very, very, very rare if it's going to be significantly large. Most are not renewable in subsequent years. Moderately high GPA students of up to 3.6, income 65,000 or greater, will have the hardest time getting scholarships. These are usually the ones with essays. The main scholarship season is April 2025 through July 2025. So third-party scholarships should not be part of the decision of where you're going to go. A lot of times parents will say, well, I think I'm a center, we're going to get scholarships. Don't do that. Don't count money you don't have. And don't believe all this hype when financially people come to your school and say, apply for scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships are unused. First of all, there's not a lot of backup supporting information for that statement. Second of all, even if they do give you an award, I just said earlier, it's not going to pay for a high percentage of the college cost. Does that mean I'm saying I don't like scholarships? Students shouldn't apply? I think they should. In fact, you should see how willing they are to do that and figuring out how much debt you want to take. Because you're the one taking out the debt, parents. Where are the scholarships? There they are, utility companies, parents, employers, city, high school, credit unions, banks, college sororities and fraternities. Use Google also to find scholarships. So start looking for those scholarships, but typically they don't open until April. You may even see last year's scholarship forms in there. Don't file early like that. Where to look for scholarships? On our website. Go to www.westa-eep.org, which I will show you in a minute. It's a good place to start with scholarships. Do not pay for scholarships. Let me say it again. There are scammers and hucksters out there that want you to pay for a scholarship. Or they'll tell you there's guaranteed financial aid. They'll tell you $5,500, sign here. And you end up paying them. And guess what the guaranteed financial aid is? The student direct loan that's an entitlement anyway. So don't pay for scholarships or guaranteed financial aid. Parents do not do all of the work. Students get to work definitely after the new year looking for scholarships. They can start now. Use Google. Remember to use Google. Google Scholarship, College Scholarships 2024. Every time you enter 2025, every time you enter that, a different list will come up or different things about the list. Okay. That's all I have right now. Hope that helped. Won't you give me a comment below on whether you like this information? I need that feedback. Also, remember to like and subscribe. If you like this kind of information, it was really a blessing to you, please click like or subscribe so we can build our base of people that are looking at this. And as well, you can be notified when we drop videos like this. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.